Okay, welcome everybody to Shannon Airport on this momentous and long anticipated day for the official launch of Pulling Back the Clouds by Mike Kelly and written by Kieran Beville. My name is Niall Kearns. I'm the airport director here at Shannon, and I'll be the MC for today's event. And although I'm new to this role, I've seen firsthand Mike's impact in terms of the airport in this wonderful display that we have here, and indeed with the culmination of the book that has been published. Michael, as you all know, has a very infectious enthusiasm for aviation, which is clear to see in this world-class display. And I have seen this impact on our passengers firsthand, on accompanying many VIP visitors, ambassadors, and so on and so forth through the airport terminal. And they're always fascinated to see such a collection. And by some coincidence, Michael always seems to be here. It's as if he has an inside track on who's coming through. And indeed, we often wonder if he has a special badge that none of us are aware of here. So we have a number of speakers here today. We have Ms Considine, CEO of the Shannon Airport Group. We'll have Dominic Taylor, the publisher, Kieran Beville, the author, and of course the main man, Michael Kelly. Just a quick word of thanks to all the airport staff who have facilitated today's event: Claire, Billy, John Francis, Kieran and Liam, Morris, and indeed all of the dams, past and present, who have been an integral part of the relationship with Michael here over the years. And last but not least, we'd just like to note Niall Maloney, our outgoing airport operations and commercial director's involvement in the establishment of this facility and working with Michael over the years to get it going to the fantastic amenity that it is today for all of the passengers coming through. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Ms Considine, Group CEO.
Thanks, Niall. And as Niall has said, this is a wonderful occasion, and it's wonderful for all of us to be here today, and you, Michael's friends and colleagues, and the airport community here, all to really mark this wonderful achievement by Michael. And I want to recognise Kieran Beville, the author of the book, and it's been published by Dominic Taylor from the Limerick Writers' Centre. So I suppose we're very fortunate that Michael has been part of the airport family here for a number of years. And back in July 2018, I think it was, Michael, we had the pleasure of officially launching Michael's collection here. It's an amazing collection of over 1,500 die-cast model aircraft, the largest public display, I think, am I correct in that, of this type in the world. And it's a great honour to have this astounding collection. Can you all hear me over this? Sorry. Here in the airport. And we're very, very grateful to Michael for allowing us to home this here in the airport. And it's something we're very, very proud of, Michael. So thank you. I think there's something here for the young, the old, the aviation enthusiast, and even for people that are really not into aviation. When they come along here and they speak to Michael and they see what's here and hear the story behind it, I think it really brings the whole thing to life. So we've got amazing, as Niall said already, amazing feedback from passengers coming through the airport here. And I suppose the one thing that strikes you when you meet Michael for the first time is his passion. Not only his passion for aviation, but his huge knowledge and the story behind every aircraft. So no matter what you pick out here, Michael has a story to tell you behind it. Where it came from, who flew it, what airline, where they flew. So he's like an encyclopedia, and we're blessed to have it. And I think as well, as Niall has mentioned, you know, every dignitary we've had through here, I think they've been blown away by Michael's knowledge and the stories. And we had a very poignant moment a few weeks back when the chief pilot of the Antonov 225 came here to see the model aircraft. And Michael was very fortunate to be able to secure that. I know it took a lot of hard work. And I think it was very poignant for the chief pilot to actually come here. By the chief pilot Antonov, the same name as the aircraft. He had flown that mammoth aircraft for many years, and unfortunately it was destroyed earlier this year in the Ukrainian crisis. So it was really unfortunate, but we're so blessed to have that model here. So thanks to you, Michael, for that. So I know the plans to launch the book were put on the shelf for 2 years because of COVID. So we're delighted that we're able to have this day and we're able to have the gathering and have all of you with us for this day. And on a final note, I'd like to congratulate you, Michael, and congratulate Kieran and the publisher Dominic. Well done, and I wish you every success with the book. And it will be on sale here in the duty free, so we'll do our best to push it, Michael. So thank you very much. And I think it's handing over to Kieran. You're going to say a few words, or Mike first? Yeah, Michael, you go first. So great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. And thanks to all of you for coming out this afternoon. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you, of course, to Mary and the Shannon Airport Authority for hosting us here this morning. As you're aware, the book we are launching this morning, Pulling Back the Clouds, is published by the Limerick Writers' Centre. And I would just like to say a little bit about the work of the centre. Pulling Back the Clouds is written by author Kieran Beville and details the life and times of Mike Kelly, the curator of this fantastic exhibition here of die-cast model aircraft. Although it was written and published over 2 years ago, the launch unfortunately had to be postponed due to the COVID pandemic. So here we are this morning, and we are having the official launch of the book. At the time of publication, it was the 100th title that the Limerick Writers' Centre had published under our community publishing programme. And as a matter of interest, only last week we launched our 132nd title. The Limerick Writers' Centre was established in 2008, and in the 14 years since then, our aim has been to carve out a distinctive position in relation to writing and literature in Limerick. Most people who are already aware of our work will know that we especially and willingly embrace and encourage diverse voices across the community. We encourage everyone's creativity, and we believe that writing and literature, whether in the form of poetry or prose, matters and does, as Seamus Heaney suggests, function as bearers of value. And one of the ways we support writing and literature in Limerick is through our small independent publishing project. As I'm sure you're aware, our mainstream publishing today is dominated by a few large conglomerates and is largely a matter of profitability as to whether a book gets published or not. But strange, crazy, innovative, experimental books are published in small to medium-sized print runs, and that is the task of the smaller houses, such as ourselves. Small publishing houses are not made up of marketing and PR experts. They are staffed by people who do books because of their passions or strong opinions, certainly not because of the profits they might generate. They publish books that otherwise would not be published at all. Pulling Back the Clouds is a prime example of a book that probably would not have been published only for our small independent publishing programme. And Mike Kelly's story would only be known to his close family and friends. And although Mike has received a lot of media coverage since the exhibition was formally launched in 2018, I believe that a physical book outlining Mike's story offers an enhanced experience. A few years ago, the demise of the printed book was confidently predicted as electronic books rose to prominence. Well, publishers are still publishing paper books, booksellers are still selling paper books, and libraries are still full of printed books. The printing of books may be an old technology, but in my view, it is still cutting edge. It is in this context that I think it is appropriate that we celebrate here today Mike Kelly and the launch of his memoir, Pulling Back the Clouds, written by Kieran Beville. This is a book that will rest easy beside most people's beds, thrill the aircraft enthusiast, and serve as a record of a time and place, especially to researchers on matters of social and historic importance of the golden age of aviation in Shannon and Ireland. Thank you very much.
And you're all very welcome. See old friends and new faces as well. I was asked to write Mike Kelly's story by some people that I know, Wayne Brazel and Eamon Walsh, and a group of, with Mike Kelly, they're known to me as the Amigos, and Wayne and Dee I knew from just going to gigs in Nancy Blake's and Jerry Flannery's, where we'd hear Stone Free and Mrs. Henry and Sidewinders. So they explained to me that Mike had accumulated a number of die-cast model aircraft, and I thought, this is kind of boring, it's not going to be something that I'm interested in, it's like train spotting. But I met Mike and I soon realized that he was far from boring, he was a fascinating individual, and his knowledge, as has already been mentioned, about aircraft and his enthusiasm are both phenomenal. He lives in Farnshone, my old stomping ground. I'm a soda cake from Thomongate, and I often played in Foley's Field right next to his house, and I knew the house where Mike lives because I remember the lady who lived there. I believe she was a Barrington, Mike, that's right, a solitary figure, but I remember her from my childhood. And eventually I was invited to Mike's house, where he has a very large collection of die-cast model aircraft there as well. And it's kind of like a hobbit house. And it's a very interesting, unusual house. And every artifact, every object has a story. And so I believe he lives next door to Roisin. We had regular meetings, myself and Mike and Wayne and Eamon. We met in the Savoy, we were very posh, and Lydia Jaber as well, who has taken some of the photographs along with Dominic Taylor in this book. And I was paid in coffee and scones, and we enjoyed our time. Mike has no shortage of stories, and the only problem I had was kind of keeping focus, hauling him back, trying to get the information that was needed. But ask him one question and Mike can just keep going with interesting stories. So he told me that he looks like Phil Collins from Genesis, and I took off my glasses and I looked at him again just to be sure, and so I swapped a story with him that I was mistaken when I was in Jordan. I was mistaken for Sean Connery, and people were taking my autograph and asking for selfies, and I had no idea why until someone told me. Anyway, there you go. We had something in common. And our common ground really was music. Eamon is here today from Sweet Street. He was the drummer with Sweet Street. And my job really was to give some structure to the stories that Mike told so very well. I wanted to write a kind of a sail of a sailor, a kind of life and times of Mike Kelly. To connect Mike really to significant events in the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. You know, things like drug culture, hippies, mods and rockers, the anti-apartheid movement and protests against the Vietnam War. But what I learned was that Mike kind of lived in his own world. This was his obsession. And he didn't really get drawn into other things. And that, I suppose, that was my life. I was trying to superimpose my life onto Mike's life. So I remember Dominic said to me at the time, I hope you won't mind me quoting you on this now, Dominic. He said, he's like Forrest Gump. He's everywhere, yet nowhere. And but I believe he has an infectious enthusiasm. And just listening to him, he's very engaging, and his story has been told. Delayed launch, of course, because of the pandemic, and I wanted to put his life in context, you know, in the same way as the book puts aviation history, global aviation history, very briefly in context, and the Irish context. That's what I was trying to do. But Mike lived in his own world, and this story, I should say, this story, I should say, because Mike told me a lot more than is included in this brief book, is heavily redacted. And anyone who wants the dirt on Mike can come to me afterwards, and I'll be happy to tell you all the family secrets. So, I was going to say congratulations, but it's me that wrote it, and it's not appropriate for me to congratulate myself. So, thanks to everyone.
Hello, hi guys. First of all, thanks a million for coming along, by the way. Now, I'm not a professional like these other people can speak. I might be okay at aviation, but, you know, that's kind of as far as it goes, you know. I suppose really what I want to say, I want to thank Niall Maloney, Ms Considine, Niall, for having me. In the airport, I have met amazing friends. I became part of their family without realising it. Of course, if I knew this was happening today, I wouldn't have even come along. You know? But yeah, it has been an amazing journey, lads, and thanks a million for coming along, and enjoy.
Unless anyone wants to sing a song.
Come fly with me.
When you were just a young boy, living on a dream, playing all the daylight long down by County Street. Right band days inspired you to look up at the sky, seeing Arthur topping in his airplane flying by.
My first aeroplane would have been when I was 6 or 7. My dad, God rest him, would have bought me a kit.
When you were just a young boy, living on a dream, playing all the daylight long down by Kearney Street. Rap band days inspired you to look up at the sky, seeing Arthur topping in his airplane flying by, pulling back the clouds, pulling back the clouds into the great beyond. You dreamed to build the world's largest model airplane show. From tiger moths to jumbo jets, your fleet did grow and grow. Now your boyhood dream lives on, those model airplanes prize. In the halls of Shannon Airport, your passion realized. Pulling back the clouds, pulling back the clouds into the great beyond. Some people's lives burn away, some they never spark. But you became what you dreamed and lived to make your mark. Now in your heart and in your mind, far from the busy crowds, your spirit soars to meet the sun, pulling back the clouds. Pulling back the clouds. Pulling back the clouds. Into the great beyond. Pulling back the clouds. Pulling back the clouds.
I would spend what I hadn't got. They would have been very expensive on the day, but I had to press the button on the day if I wanted it because they were highly limited. So I was the kind of a guy, I'd press the button anyway. I was a spoiled boy.